Waitress translates grandfather's last words. Billionaire learns she speaks 47 languages. What if a waitress, who had hidden her extraordinary ability to speak 47 languages, is the only one who can unravel a world-altering secret left behind by a dying man? Rina Torres was invisible by design. At 29, she moved through La Lumiere, a Manhattan restaurant where billionaires sealed deals over $500 bottles of wine. As if she were part of the decor, her dark hair was pinned in a tight bun, her black uniform crisp but unremarkable. To the patrons, she was a shadow who refilled glasses and cleared plates. To Rina, this was survival in a city that chewed up dreamers and spat out ghosts. Her queen's apartment was a refuge of chaos, shelves sagging with books in Amharic, Tamil, Farsi, and more, their pages worn from years of study. A faded photo of her grandfather, Mateo Torres, sat on her nightstand, his stern face softened by a smile that hid a lifetime of secrets. Mateo had been a diplomat, a linguist, a man who'd seen the world's darkest corners. He'd taught her, shown her before she could write her name, whispering, "Language is power, Rina. It opens doors and locks them." By 10, she spoke 20 languages. By 18, 47. When he died alone in a hospital bed, he left her his journals and a warning, "Never let them see what you can do." Rina obeyed. She buried her gift beneath the grind of rent, bills, and 12-hour shifts, her co-workers chefs cursing in Spanish. Bussers joking in Tagalog knew her as quiet, kind, forgettable. But her mind was a vault, each language a key to a world she'd never dared enter. She'd learned to listen, to watch, to blend in. At La Lumiere, she overheard secrets, mergers, scandals, betrayals, but kept them locked away, just as she did her own. That night, Elias Cross changed everything. He arrived alone, his tailored suit hanging loosely on a frail frame, his eyes sharp despite his age. He ordered a single glass of Bordeaux and watched the room with a quiet intensity. When Rina brought his wine, he spoke in French, a simple greeting. She answered fluently, assuming he was another eccentric patron flexing his wealth. But then he switched to Arabic, then Swahili, then a rare dialect of Quechua her grandfather had taught her under a desert sky. Each time, she responded, her voice steady, but her pulse racing. "You're no ordinary waitress," Elias said in English, his smile warm but shadowed. "How many do you speak?" Rina froze. She'd never told a soul, but his gaze, kind yet piercing, pulled the truth from her. 47, she whispered, instantly regretting it. Elias leaned forward, his voice low. "My grandfather was like you. He said languages were the world's pulse, its secrets. Don't hide yours, my dear. The world needs it." He paused, his eyes distant, heavy with something unspoken. "I don't have much time. Promise me you'll use it." Before she could respond, a busboy dropped a tray, and Rina was pulled away. Hours later, she found Elias slumped at his table, lifeless. The restaurant erupted paramedics. Police, chaos. Rina stood frozen, clutching a crumpled paper a co-worker had retrieved from the floor. Its text was a mosaic of languages: Mandarin, Russian, Yoruba, and more woven into a cipher only she could read. It wasn't a note, it was a call to war. The police dismissed the paper as the ramblings of a dying man, probably just doodles. One officer said, tossing it into an evidence bag. But Rina knew better. That night, in her cramped apartment, she spread the paper on her kitchen table, her hands trembling. The words were a labyrinth, a tapestry of languages shifting like sand. She recognized Mateo's influence, a cipher technique he'd taught her, hiding meaning in plain sight. As she translated, a message emerged: instructions for Nexus, a digital system that could connect every mind, every device, every corner of the globe. It promised universal knowledge, breaking barriers of language, wealth, and geography. But the final line, in Mateo's native Spanish, chilled her. "To the one who reads this, you hold the key. Guard it with your life." Rina didn't sleep. She paced, the paper burning in her mind. Who was Elias Cross? Why had he chosen her? And what was Nexus? This project that felt like both a dream and a curse. Her grandfather's journals, tucked in a dusty box, whispered of similar dreams, his own project, Luz, a vision of global connection abandoned for reasons he never shared. The parallels were too stark to ignore. The next day, La Lumiere buzzed with gossip. Elias was no ordinary patron, he was the grandfather of Jared Cross, the billionaire tech mogul whose AI and blockchain empire had reshaped the digital world. Elias had been a recluse, a genius who'd vanished decades ago. His death was headline news. But the letter was a footnote, ignored by all but Rena. Then Jared Cross walked in. He was taller than his photos, his sharp features softened by exhaustion, his tailored suit unable to hide the tension in his shoulders. The staff fawned, but he waved them off, his eyes locking on Rena. "You found my grandfather's letter," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I need to know what it says." Rena's instinct screamed to run. "It's with the police," she said, her tone neutral. "I don't care about the police," Jared snapped, stepping closer. "My grandfather said there'd be someone who could read his work. Someone who understood. That's you." Before Rena could respond, a woman approached sharp, platinum-haired, her smile all edges. "Jared, darling, you're scaring the staff," she said, her voice smooth but cold. She extended a hand to Rena. "Lena Voss, cybersecurity consultant. I'm here to help with whatever this is." Rena shook her hand, but her skin prickled. Lena's eyes lingered too long, probing, calculating. Something was wrong. Jared's office was a glass fortress atop a Manhattan skyscraper, its views stretching to the horizon. Rena felt small in her worn coat, clutching a photocopy of Elias's letter she'd gotten from a detective who owed her a favor. Jared sat across a desk of polished obsidian, his gaze intense. "My grandfather was working on Nexus," he said, "a system to democratize knowledge, connect every mind, every language. He didn't trust me with the details, said I wasn't ready, but he mentioned a woman who could read his work. That's you." Rena hesitated. "I can translate it," she admitted, "but it's more than words. It's a cipher, and it's dangerous." "Then we'll figure it out together," Jared said, a spark of hunger in his eyes. They worked through the night, Rena decoding while Jared's team of engineers scrambled to interpret the technical fragments. Nexus was a decentralized network, a digital nervous system that could teach a farmer in Senegal to code, a student in Mumbai to engineer, a teacher in Bolivia to heal, all without gatekeepers. But Elias's letter held warnings, a shadow protocol that could turn Nexus into a tool for surveillance, tracking every user, manipulating every choice. Rena's role grew. She wasn't just a translator, she was a cryptographer, seeing patterns where Jared's team saw chaos. She worked in his lab by day, surrounded by coders who whispered about her in awe. By night, she dug into Mateo's journals, their pages filled with cryptic notes about Luz. The similarities to Nexus were uncanny, too precise to be coincidence. Then she found a photo, Mateo and Elias, young and smiling, standing before a map of the world, a symbol etched in the corner, a circle of interlocking keys. Rena's breath caught. It was the mark of the Order of the Saffron Veil, a secret society her grandfather had mentioned only once, warning her to stay away. The Order, Mateo had said, was a group of linguists and cryptographers who guarded knowledge that could reshape the world or destroy it. Had he and Elias been members? Had they built Luz together, only to abandon it? Rena's suspicion deepened when she found a letter in Mateo's journal. Addressed to Elias, "We swore an oath. The key must stay hidden. If they find it, the veil falls." Lena Voss was a problem. Hired by Jared's board as a cybersecurity expert, she was charismatic, ruthless, and always watching. Her platinum hair and tailored suits stood in stark contrast to Rena's understated presence. Lena asked too many questions about the letter, her eyes lingering on Rena's translations. When Rena caught her photographing the cipher one night, Lena smiled coolly. "Just documenting progress," she said, but Rena didn't believe her. A late-night search on Jared's unsecured laptop confirmed her fears. Lena worked for a conglomerate, with ties to governments and corporations eager to control Nexus. The shadow protocol wasn't a flaw, it was their goal. A tool to monitor and manipulate the world's digital flow. Lena wasn't just a consultant. She was a predator. Rena confronted Jared in his office, the city glittering below. "Lena's not on your side," she said, showing him the evidence. "She's after the Shadow Protocol. If she gets it, Nexus becomes a weapon." Jared's face hardened. "You're paranoid," he said. But doubt flickered in his eyes. "Lena's the best in the field. We need her. You need to trust me," Rena said. "Your grandfather did." Their partnership frayed. Jared's ambition to launch Nexus clashed with Rena's caution. She felt the weight of Mateo's legacy, the fear that she'd misjudged Jared. Lena's presence only heightened the tension, her charm masking a growing threat. Then Rena met Amara, a young coder on Jared's team who'd grown suspicious of Lena. Amara was brilliant, outspoken, and fiercely loyal to Elias's vision. "I've seen her code," Amara whispered one night in the lab. "She's embedding trackers in Nexus. We need to stop her." Together, Rena and Amara began to unravel Lena's plan, but the deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became. Lena had allies, shadowy figures who watched Rena's every move. One night, Rena found a note slipped under her apartment door. "Stop, or you'll regret it." The symbol of the saffron veil was scrawled at the bottom. Months passed, and Nexus neared completion. The lab hummed with energy, screens glowing with code that could change the world. Rena's translations revealed Elias's vision, a system to empower, not control. But the Shadow Protocol loomed, a dark thread in the code that could track every user, predict every move. Then came the first twist. In Mateo's journals, Rena found a second cipher hidden in a poem he'd written decades ago. It described a kill switch, a sequence of phrases in 47 languages that could erase Nexus entirely. The catch: it required a spoken key, a melody of words only Rena could deliver. Elias hadn't just left her a message, he'd left her a weapon. She confronted Jared in the lab, her voice shaking. "Your grandfather built a failsafe," she said, holding up the translated poem. "He knew Nexus could be corrupted. He trusted me to stop it." Jared's eyes darkened. "You're saying he didn't trust me?" His voice was raw, wounded. "I've spent my life building his legacy. Nexus is mine. Then why hide this?" Rena asked. "Why make it so only I could find it?" The truth hit Jared like a blow. Elias had chosen Rena, a stranger, over his own grandson. But there was more. Rena's digging revealed that Mateo and Elias had been partners in the Order of the Saffron Veil, a group dedicated to protecting dangerous knowledge. Luz was their creation. Abandoned when they realized its power, Elias had continued in secret, building Nexus, but left Rena as its guardian. As the launch approached, Rena uncovered a second twist. The Order was still active, and Lena was one of them. A hidden message in Elias's journal revealed that the Order had splintered. Some, like Mateo and Elias, wanted to protect knowledge. Others, like Lena, sought to wield it. Lena's conglomerate was a front for the Order's rogue faction, determined to control Nexus and reshape the world. Rena shared this with Amara, who hacked into Lena's private server, uncovering a plan to sell Nexus to a coalition of governments. The Shadow Protocol would give them unprecedented power, every click, every thought, tracked and manipulated. But Lena wasn't alone. One of Jared's board members, a quiet man named Victor, was her ally, feeding her information from within. Rena and Amara confronted Jared, presenting the evidence. "Lena's not just a traitor," Rena said. "She's part of the Order. So is Victor. They've been playing you." Jared's face crumbled. "Victor's been with me for years," he said. But the proof was undeniable. He fired Victor on the spot, but Lena was untouchable, her influence too deep. The launch was days away, and the world was watching. Investors, governments, hackers. Rena knew she had to act. The night before the launch, Rena slipped into the lab, Mateo's journals under her arm. Amara stood guard, her laptop ready to deploy a virus they'd built to cripple Lena's trackers. The kill switch was a sequence, a symphony of words in 47 languages. Rena stood before the mainframe, her voice steady, Liberté in French, Ukwili in Swahili, Satyam in Sanskrit. The screens flickered, data streams slowing, then stopping. Nexus was gone. Lena burst in, her face a mask of fury. "You fool," she spat. "You've destroyed everything. I saved it, Rena said, her voice ironclad. This was never yours. Jared arrived, his face pale. Rena, why? He whispered, staring at the blank screens. Your grandfather saw this coming, she said. So did mine. They knew what Nexus could become. Lena lunged for the backup drives, but Amra's virus had already fried them. Lena fled, vowing revenge. The Order will find you, she hissed. Jared sank into a chair, his empire in ruins. I trusted you, he said, his voice breaking. And I trusted you, Rena replied. But I trusted them more. Rena returned to La Lumiere, her apron a familiar weight. The restaurant was unchanged, but she was not. The world didn't know she'd saved it from a digital dystopia, but she carried the victory quietly. Jared vanished from the headlines, his company reeling. Rumors swirled that he was rebuilding, focusing on ethical tech. Rena hoped he'd learned. Amara stayed in touch. Her texts filled with plans for a new project, a language learning platform based on Elias's notes. In Rena's apartment, a package arrived, Elias's journal, sent by Jared. Inside was a note. You were right. Keep this safe. The journal held plans for a new system. Not Nexus, but a tool to teach, not control. It was Elias's final gift and Mateo's legacy. Rena began teaching languages in her community, her gift no longer hidden. She wasn't invisible anymore, not to herself, not to her students. But late at night, she studied Elias's journal, finding a hidden message, coordinates to a safe house where the Order's secrets were kept. A single line, in a language only she knew, warned, the Veil is watching. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number, a single message. They're coming for you. Rena's heart raced. Lena was out there, and the Order's rogue faction was closing in. But Rena was ready. She'd stepped into her grandfather's legacy, and the fight was just beginning.